right. Hello, you guys. We are live. Welcome back, or welcome. um, Super excited to be doing a new episode of Body Talks Live. I haven't done one of these since November, so it has been a minute. Super excited, and it's a new year, a new month. So I can't wait to share with you guys today. So these are in celebration of my book, Someone I Love Lives Here, which came out in October. And my book talks about my story with body image, with disordered eating, really with self-love, self-worth, and all of the issues that showed up for me as I was overcoming those things. So I wanted to put my book out into the world because I know it's not just my story, but sadly so many women have their own experience struggling with these things. So that is why I started the Body Talks series, really just to get other women's stories out there, let you know that you are so not alone, whatever your journey looked like. Again, you're totally not alone in struggling with these things. And I really believe in the healing power of talking about these things. I think it's incredibly healing for people to know they're not alone and for us to share our stories, because I really believe that's the only way we can start to create change. So that's kind of the whole inspiration behind this series. And all of the episodes also, like I mentioned, I haven't done one since November, but I think we're up to maybe like 13 or 14 episodes. So you can also look, if you go to all of my lives, you can see them all there and watch them there. So today I'm super excited to have someone who is very, very special to me, someone I'm very close to. So I'm so excited to bring her on in a moment. Dr. Janice Rice is our guest today. And Dr. Janice Rice is an emergency medicine physician, a life coach for women, and a full-time single mom to her adorable kids who are 5 and 2 years old. She was voted a top doctor in Cleveland in 2020 and 2021. And she also recently launched a podcast series called Women in Leadership for the physician-led organization Team Health. She loves helping professional women and working moms achieve better work-life balance so they can stop feeling so overwhelmed. So I am going to bring her on now. Let's see if the tech works for us. There we go. Yay, all good. Welcome. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Perfect. I can. I just turned up the volume a little. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I just shared a little of your bio, your background, but also how we know each other. Dr. Rice has been a longtime client of mine, and we've worked together coaching. We actually first connected many, many years ago. Whole different lifetime for both of us.
Yes.
Online on Instagram, and then over the years we've become really close friends too. So she even visited me in Milwaukee this summer, which was so much fun. And yeah, so I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Looking back, I think it was 2013 when I first reached out to you on Instagram, and thinking that I'm actually here on a live with you now since 2013, you've been such an inspiration then and now with everything that you're doing that's different from when we met back in 2013. I just can't even believe that I'm on a live with you. It's just so awesome.
Yeah, I know. That is really crazy when you put it like that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, so excited to have you here. And I know I shared a little of your background, but I'd love to hear in your own words just a little bit more personally, professionally, who you are and what you're all about.
Yeah. So like you said, I'm an emergency medicine doctor. I have been practicing on my own since 2012, so shortly before we met. I love emergency medicine. It is crazy, especially now with the pandemic. And it's been a little bit tough with emergency medicine in the pandemic, trying to connect with my patients. So I've just been dabbling into a few more things I could possibly do to connect on a deeper level with patients or clients, which is kind of what sparked my interest through working with you to do the side business of life coaching. I get a deeper connection with people. I feel like I can help people on a much deeper level, have more of a connection, a meaningful conversation, which is what it's all about. In the ER, it's go, go, go. And I don't have a lot of time to talk to people on the level that I would really want to. So the life coaching aspect has brought me more fulfillment from that aspect. So it's been really good.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. I always feel like I've told you this before, but I feel like you're such a master of balancing a lot of things, you know? And you're like, I've kind of had to figure that out. But I think that's so common, like people feeling overwhelmed. I feel like almost everyone can relate to that. And so I just wanted to shout you out with that. I mean, I think again, you really have mastered that, like keeping your cool with little kids and, a full-time, very important career in emergency medicine. What could be more high stress than that?
Yeah, it really is. So I think with emergency medicine, it's basically my profession to keep my cool when there's a lot going on, 5 patients, 10 patients, 20 patients, whatever the day may bring. And that transitions over into my life where I have to keep my cool when the kids are screaming or the dog's running away or the dishes need done. You just kind of train yourself over the years to take it in stride and time management and just keep going every day with what can I get done in this moment and what can I get done in this moment, all while remaining present when you need to be present. So it's a tough balance, but um, it's I've been training for it forever, I feel like, because of medicine.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And I think that's such a useful habit to have, mentally, even physically, just remaining calm.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So this is our Body Talks episode. So I would love to take it back. And I know you have, like so many women, a deep story with body image, self image, all of those things. So I'd love to hear your earliest memory, if you go far back into childhood or teen years, anything that stands out, your first memory of really starting to feel like your body was important the way it looked, or starting to feel like not good enough in any way, or kind of your first exposure to that whole piece.
Yeah, and I don't remember specifically how young I was. I don't think it was as young as you. I know you started with issues at like 8 years old from reading your book and talking to you for so long. I think I was more like 12 or 13, like junior high, when you start to get into boys and they start to make comments about your body and you want to wear a bikini to the pool, but you feel like you can't because you notice that all of your friends are super tiny and you have always been the bigger girl. So I was always an athlete, always a tomboy. I didn't really care about being girly until about like 7th or 8th grade. And then suddenly I wanted to wear a bikini, and next to all my friends, I thought, well, I cannot wear this. So I definitely remember having a lot of difficulty with like going to the pool or going to pool parties because those were huge at that time frame, and just always wanting to be covered up or wear a one piece. And that transitioned over into sports. I was a cross country runner, and girls would run just in their sports bra and shorts, and I never did that because I just was so self-conscious about running with my body the way it looked next to all these other girls who I felt were so much prettier, so much skinnier. Um, and I do remember, this just sparked a memory that I had a cross country practice one day, and the girls, some of the girls, older girls, actually stole my t-shirt. So I had to run in just a sports bra. And it was so humiliating.
Oh.
In my own mind. I mean, I don't know why they did it, but stuff like that happens when you're younger.
Yeah.
But yeah, just constantly comparing like what I'm eating to what everybody else is eating. How do I look to what everybody else looks like? And quickly jumping onto fad diet after fad diet once I reached like high school, especially college.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sad. I'd never heard that story. And
I know, I haven't told you that one.
yeah. And girls can be brutal. I mean, I can remember kind of late middle school, early high school, like it was bad. Girls can be mean. I mean, boys too at that age, but
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. For sure.
yeah. So and the whole pool party or like going to the pool or water park, I was like shuddering just thinking of
Oh,
some of my worst memories growing up. I feel like I still have trauma around that, and we had
me
like
too.
a pool, yeah, a pool in our building, and even that when there's like a ton of people, it still like brings up emotions and stuff. So I totally feel.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And really for me, it wasn't until because I swam in college at a D1 school, go Falcons, Bowling Green. Um, and once I was done swimming, I felt like I could always eat whatever I wanted pretty much because I was swimming like 3 to 5 hours a day and burning like thousands of calories. And I remember having a lot of anxiety when I knew the end of swimming was coming up forever. And I'm like, how am I going to stay skinny? How am I going to do this? I'm going to have to come up with a plan and not eat because I'm not going to be training 5 hours a day anymore. And that's when it really shifted for me, where I started paying attention to every single thing I was putting into my body. And I quickly went on like the special K diet where you eat literally like 2 bowls of cereal a day and a meal.
Yeah. Yeah. I did that one.
I know.
Yeah. I'm like, some of them looking back, I'm like, this is so stupid. But at the time, it's like, it was like super popular and like a very
Mhm.
normal thing to do or normal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's interesting too, because for me growing up, I was not athletic and I wasn't really in sports. So it's kind of, and I've always looked back and almost like regretted that, or almost felt like that made certain parts of my journey harder. But then it's very interesting because I talked to so many women who were really active or played, were involved in sports. And there is that pivotal time where when you're not in that, really regimented practice and the structure of being involved in a sport,
Yeah.
it's a whole transition and like learning how to navigate, how to relate to your body, how to move, when you've been in kind of a disciplined system for so long. I know that can be really challenging.
Yeah, it definitely was. But, I found other things like um, all the Beachbody classes and CrossFit and other things that kept me active and in that competitive nature, which was good for me. But obviously, with any of those things, you can go a little overboard.
Mm-hmm. Totally. So one of the aspects that I think is really heartbreaking with the whole body image issue and these problems that come up for women is that it does carry over into really, I think, all parts of our lives. It shows up in other areas. So I'd love to know, looking back on your life, kind of teens, 20s, 30s, like thinking about it, is there an area or certain things that stand out to you that you feel like are really tied in with struggling with image?
Oh, I definitely think in my relationships, um, I feel like I I always had to be perfect, have a perfect body, or try my best to have a perfect body, diet, exercise, look really good so that I could attract the attention of boys and cling to these relationships that were, not fulfilling in any other way, but maybe they just liked how I looked, or, they weren't really like connecting with me on a deeper emotional level. It was all about the physical appearance and how you look together or how I perceived that we looked together. Um, so I definitely think it transitioned over into like romantic relationships for me, because a lot of this, when it started back in junior high, I got made fun of by a lot of boys. A lot of boys, like, they didn't like the way my boobs looked and under my shirt, and they didn't like the way this looked, and they didn't like the shoes I was wearing, but they would let it known to like the whole school, to the point of getting kicked off my lunch table. It was so dramatic and traumatic for me. So I think like once I figured out like, here's how I need to eat and here's how I can stay fit and look good and learn how to do makeup and stuff, it was sort of like getting back at all those boys that had cut me down for so many years, even though it didn't really get me anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you and I relate so much, and you're super into Enneagram, and we're both threes. So I
Yeah.
feel like I'm kind of part of that, but it's like I relate to that so much. It's almost like some of the childhood trauma or those experiences, people making fun of you. It's like thought process that if I can be perfect enough, at least externally, like if I look perfect, well, I mean, that's the bottom line of perfectionism in general is if I'm perfect, then no one can hurt me or, you know, pull me down or anything
Yeah.
like that. So,
Yeah. If I'm perfect, then finally I'll be accepted at the cool table again, or finally they'll love me, or finally whatever, fill in the blank that fits you. And that's what the personality like yours and mine, that's what we were striving for. And so many people are like that.
mhm. Yeah. And then it's a hard habit to break, once you again enter adulthood and it's like it's not really serving us anymore, but we still have these tendencies of having to be, you know, demanding like perfection or such high standards from ourselves. So,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. So I'd love to hear about your healing journey. I know you said kind of transitioning out of swimming, that was really when you started getting a little bit more focused on diets or trying to control or figure out what you could do. So I'd love to kind of hear what, those next years looked like. And then when you started to shift into, more healthy, whole, balanced approach and what really helped you heal over the years.
Yeah. So after swimming ended and I got more focused on diet and exercise, I jumped right into medical school. So it was a little bit crazy. So you just kind of eat when you can eat and work out when you can work out, and it is what it is. So I focused a little less on it then. I used running as a release of studying so much. And then in residency, when you're working 31-hour shifts and you don't really get time off and you're just kind of grabbing whatever you can find at the hospital. It's like bagels and peanut butter and donuts. And I had gained a little bit of weight in the first year of my residency, and that's when I discovered Beachbody and Turbo Kick and Chalene Johnson. And it was a really positive thing because I love Beachbody and everything they stand for. I'm not a coach anymore, but I was a coach. And I just felt like it was such a positive company that shifted me into a positive mindset about working out. And it was very group oriented because there was a big group in Toledo that did it because Chalene Johnson's sister lives in Toledo, Janelle Summers, and she became one of my friends and whatnot. So it was all good stuff. Like in my residency. But then I personally became a little too obsessed with it. Like every calorie I was eating and the way everything looked on me, and be perfect, be more perfect. And then I also thought about competing in a fitness competition and bikini comp, and maybe then I would like earn some sort of star for the best body, or you know how that goes, of course. Um, so I had kind of positive and negative journey with the body image and the eating and the exercising throughout the past however many years. Um, and in 2013 is when I found you, and I was like, I really want to start shaping my body better and lifting and learning how to do all that with macro counting. So I did get more into that following your program, and the certain foods to eat and certain exercises to do and all those things. And then I got pregnant, and that's just a whole other ball game for whoever is out there listening that they're moms. You get pregnant and your body completely changes, and the postpartum time has been pretty hard as far as body image. Just things feel different, look different. You feel like you can't really lose weight or get your body back to what it used to be. And there's a lot of mindset work, which is when I reached out to you. This was probably 2019, I think. and I had had my second baby, and I was like, I don't know what else to do, but I remember that I loved you and I loved working with you. And I like reached out on Instagram, and I think you called me right away. And I was like, can you help me? Because I think I said like, I'm fat, help me, I'm fat, or something like that. And you were like, well, I don't really do what I did before. And you opened my eyes into this whole other world that I did not know existed, with intuitive eating and body positivity and loving your body for the state that it's in, and everything that my body had just done for me with 2 pregnancies and 2 postpartums and 2 healthy babies, and looking at it from a totally different angle that I had never done before. So, and that has led me up to basically now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting because I mean, looking back, the evolution of my work and, with I started personal training when I was 21. So it's been like a long journey, and it's always like I've loved helping people, but obviously it's evolved from like we do the best we can and like we know what we know. So I know we've talked about it too. I'm like, man, I hope I didn't like preach or prescribe anything that like added to or did any harm. But it's also it's interesting because even I think with like being on the online in the online space, or really with anything we're doing in life, I've really over the years learned to be more gentle with myself, that like as humans we do evolve and change and grow, and that's how it's supposed to be. So anyway, it's just interesting to hear like from your angle the whole kind of reflection and your journey and everything,
Yeah.
because it has really transitioned. And it's interesting how now, I mean, I would never, we've even talked about this because sometimes people are like, but I want a meal plan. I want it
Yeah.
simple and whatever. And I get that. And I believe in that too, because it's like, there's also decision fatigue. So I get that people, need some structure, but
Mhm.
I know now I'm like, I'm never writing a meal plan again, but,
Even
but
in the moments when I've begged you for another meal plan.
yes.
Because, which speaks to, you hope you didn't do anything to, I don't know, in a negative way back in 2013 when we were working together in a way different manner. But
Mm-hmm.
you only knew what you knew at the time. And I only knew that, hey, I know this is what works and this is what gets people on stage in bikinis. So we, nothing was negative though, because in that space, you were still so kind and supportive and loving. And even when I would send you pictures and be like, nothing's changing in my body, you would be like, yes, it is. It looks wonderful. You look smaller. You look great. Da da da. So which is what led me to fast forward after kids, reach back out to you, because I'm like, she made me feel good and she helped me move forward through whatever it was at the time, only to realize that you were doing something completely different,
Mm-hmm.
and in my opinion much better, especially with where I am in my life with how busy it is and how overwhelming it can be. It's so nice to have you help keep me grounded.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's interesting too because and I was actually thinking a little bit about this. I did a post on health yesterday, and like
Mhm.
even for me in my journey, like focusing on my health now looks really different than it did years ago. Before it was like, let me be healthy so I lose weight or, fit in these jeans or whatever. And it's really cool when you evolve past that and you start recognizing like, oh, so much more than a body. And, it's still, I think it's natural for us to still want to look good. Like that's part of, I know we feel like we look good, we feel good. It's great. Like that's,
Mhm.
I'm all for that too, but it is. And it's like looking back over my journey too, realizing from my own experience, it's like, that's not the answer. And I still think, nutrition and, workouts, fitness, that whole area, I think is fascinating and like, yeah, just super rewarding when you get into it. But it's just a slippery slope because underneath it, it's like we've also got to look at the bigger issues with which again a lot of times goes back to these early childhood experiences of the bottom line is we don't feel good enough, you know, and then no amount of working out and eating this or that is going to fix underneath. So
yeah. And that's why through coaching, life coaching with you and learning so much with you, all these coping mechanisms and tools, I had also, as you know, but I'll share this with the group, I had also done a journey with EMDR therapy, which was extra helpful coupled with what you were doing to kind of dig back into the childhood traumas and things like that that I had perceived in such a way to make me feel like I was never good enough and had to overachieve my entire life, which in some regards is good because it got me where I am today. But by being extremely hard on yourself, where you can give yourself a lot more grace in a lot of these situations, and it would be a more comfortable journey if you could just kind of chill out a little.
yes, that's like my theme for the year. I've said a few times this week. So, but yeah, it's crazy with the way we're wired. And I know we talk a lot about as well, like you have little kids, and I think only recently have we started understanding, like as a society, that that's where all of our programming and our conditioning, like that's where we get wired is childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So I know we talk about this a lot, and even some of your reels, I'm thinking of where you had Kate doing affirmations. Yes. And I think it's so cool that you're able now, with everything you know about, you know, the brain and psychology and, you know, how we're wired, that you're able to come from that perspective with raising little ones.
Yeah. And I think every generation is just working on bettering themselves, and we're much more aware, self-aware, and parental aware. I don't know the right term for it, but not that my parents were doing anything wrong. And no matter how perfect of a parent you are, your child will always receive a wounding message. You can be the best parent out there, it's how they perceive something. So it doesn't even mean that your parents did anything wrong or that your close caregiver, or friend, or family did something wrong. Mm-hmm. It's just how you perceived it in whatever brain state you were in when you're much more immature. Mm-hmm. But yes, I do practice positive affirmations with Kate, and she's only 2.5, and she recites it herself now. I am strong, I am beautiful, I am smart, and I have a big heart. So
love that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the cutest thing.
Yeah. I love that you pointed that out, made the point of, you know, no matter what, like the greatest parents in the world, it's like, again, it's just part of human nature and the human experience. We'll find some way to make ourselves feel, you know, not good enough just based on the information, the messages we're getting. So yeah, you pointed that out, because I know that's, even my mom and I have like gone down the whole rabbit hole of like talking about all of this stuff and, you know, personal development and sharing books. And so we've had a lot of conversations about that too. I'm like, you were amazing.
Yeah. I'm sure, especially after your book came out, you maybe had to be like, hey fam, I'm not mad at you.
Yeah. Well, I like the day my dad read it, I don't think I breathed to like let out an exhale for like 24 hours till we talked. I was like, ugh. Yeah. But no, both of my parents, that was actually really special, the conversations we had afterwards, because I'm definitely like, I didn't want to throw anyone under the bus, and there's no reason to. Like, this is my experience. And so yeah, my mom has been super supportive. And
yeah, and probably opened up a lot of conversations for growth, continued growth between you and your mom and your dad, and who, maybe friends or close coworkers or whoever else was in your book. You know, possibly opened up a lot of like healing pathways too, or continued deepening those relationships now that sort of like everything's out on the table from your perspective.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And I think even for ourselves, self-awareness, and I think with coaching and like looking at your childhood, however deep you go into it, same with EMDR, or any of these techniques, it's like I really do think it's such a gift to give yourself, like looking back, reflecting, seeing where some of these patterns come from, the origin.
Oh yeah.
That self-awareness, like for me, even just writing the book was so healing because as an adult, I have a much different perspective on these things that happened. And again, this stuff does affect us, and we can't just stuff it down and be like, oh, that was forever ago, because it does pop up and show up in our thoughts, our behaviors. So yeah, I really,
Yeah.
going
And
is helpful.
yeah. And as we always talk about in our coaching sessions, if you don't stop the patterns from your previous behavior or your childhood trauma or your wounding message, if you don't repair these underlying patterns, you're going to continue to see the same things show up in your face. You're still going to see like that bad relationship that you cling to, or the trouble with your parent that you can't really connect with, or people that can't seem to hold a job because they're just kind of self-sabotaging in these patterns that they get stuck in. And once you kind of realize and have so much more self-awareness, you're like, oh, this feels familiar, and this is always my pattern. How about I do something different and look at the different outcome? So it's really helpful to open your eyes to those patterns and shift it to a better path for your vision in life.
Totally. Yeah. It's like, so you don't have to keep asking, why does this all happen to me? Which
Yeah.
has come out of my mouth in the past week, but even still, it's like, it's a different way. I'm like, what am I doing to attract this? Or like, what part of me is asking for this? So, which is much more empowering, really, when we take responsibility for what's happening. So,
Yes. Yes. It's incredibly empowering to become so self-aware and take a step back and get out of our ego and say, okay, what am I doing? Because it's not always everybody else's fault. Yes, there are people that do things to you and you don't really understand why and whatnot, and that's on them. But there's also a lot of things that you do yourself that you can take a step back and say, okay, I've been here before. Why am I doing this? Why am I bringing this on myself? Like, let's.
the sound just cut out.
Oh,
Oh, no, it's back. Okay.
okay.
Just that last little part.
Oh, just saying like you get in these patterns and becoming self-aware to say like I've been here before, but what am I doing to have brought myself to this place before?
Yeah.
And how can I shift that?
Totally. Totally. I love that. So, for anyone out there watching this today, if someone is in a low point, whether they're in that place like we were just talking about, kind of seeing patterns, relationship, or, kind of not having success in any area of their lives where they want success, or struggling with the body image, maybe, again, feeling really controlling around food, or kind of, just not in a good place. Are there a couple tips or any advice, anything specific that you would share that's really helped you, that you share with someone who's in a low place right now?
Well, of course, I would automatically say get a life coach, get somebody to help you with your vision and your direction. I know that there are coaches out there that can be more or less affordable. Some people have different financial states than others, and you might be scared to kind of take that leap. But if it's something that you can invest in, to invest in yourself, to further figure out what direction you want to go in life, it's all going to come full circle and it'll come back in some sort of abundance, whether it's like energy or financially or spiritually or just self-love. If you kind of put it out there, it's going to come back to you. So I would first say, like, don't be scared to take the leap, to ask for help. And one of the biggest things that I took away from working with you very early on was to outsource a lot of your clutter, I guess you could call it. I'm really passionate about outsourcing and helping people outsource, because if you have 100 things to take care of in a day, and you can get rid of 10 of those things, and you only have 90 things to take care of in a day, it makes a huge difference. It can free up time to play with your kids, connect with family, go work, make more money, take a nap, rest, do something. So that is one of the things that you helped me with, was learning how to outsource and learning what things were beneficial for me to outsource, and not spend my time and energy on stuff that didn't really matter to me. So it helped really declutter your life. And I think with starting with decluttering your life is one of the biggest first steps.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. I'm in a season of that, like, again, going through, because I think it's so important to check in with ourselves and like see where is my energy going, and, you know, what tasks or things am I doing that, you know, I don't enjoy, they don't energize me, they don't bring me, they're not really serving me. And it's like, if someone else can do it, and a lot of times someone else can do it better or faster, if it's something you don't like,
Mm-hmm.
it's so worth it. And even just mentally, I was just listening to a Lori Harder podcast, one of my favorites, yesterday, and they were talking about how it's like tabs on your computer when you have so many tabs running and all of these apps running or whatever, and it drains the battery overall. And our brains are too. It's like, yeah, when we've got 100 things, and if we can start closing some of those tabs out, then we can find some spaciousness and peace, and from that point we're so much more clear and can make better decisions, and, you know, feel better and more fulfilled and more present too, because life just moves so fast. And
it does.
Technology too, it's like, I know we talk a lot often about social media too, and, you know, being how we're using that, but it's something that I think is just such a gift to give yourself, is like creating space.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for being here.
Of course.
And anything else that we didn't touch on, or anything else that you want to share?
For anybody that's on, if you haven't read Justine's book, I have it. Someone I know lives, someone I love lives here.
Yes.
You got to get it. It's actually a quick read, and I knew that we were very similar from you being in my life for so many years, but then reading this book and really like diving into like your personal past and everything, I feel like I could have written this as well, because everything, I'm like, oh, that's how I felt. That's how I felt. That's how I felt. And I'm sure there's so many other men and women out there that would probably really relate in the way that I did, and everything that we go through as humans. And just to realize, like, we're not alone. We all go through these struggles and feel this way. And it was also a little bit funny. I thought your book had some funny points to it, and I just really enjoyed reading it. And it still sits on my bedside table, even though I'm done with it because I read it so fast. And Cameron comes in almost every night, and he looks at your picture.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
like, she's so pretty. I like her.
Love them.
So I got to keep it out for Cam.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for that. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I realized we also both love Reese's peanut butter puffs, like best cereal ever.
And Sprite.
Right.
Yes.
So yeah, but what you said, it is so crazy how I think growing up too, you always feel so isolated, and like this stuff is only happening to you, or you're the only one that like doesn't fit in or can't figure it out, or, you know, whatever it is. It's crazy that like almost all of us are actually, we're feeling that. And again, I think that's just why it's powerful for women, for people to have these conversations and talk about it. So
yeah,
thank you so much for all. So, all right, you guys, well, thank you. Definitely go follow Dr. Janice Rice at Ask Dr. Rice. I love your reels, and also I don't want to make this a pun because it's like really corny, but I love that you always keep it real too, like showing all of the glamorous and the not so glamorous sides of life and mom life. And yeah, I love your everything you share is always very funny and relatable and real. So definitely go follow her. And thank you again for everyone joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.